Join the coven.
Hello, my coven. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Ghosty Mist for collabing on this awesome video with me. So make sure you guys subscribe to him. His link can be found in the description down below. Where is my husband? A story written by One Grumpy MF. Time to time, I stay at a friend of the family's house to watch their dog. They live in the same neighborhood in a large house on a quiet street. The house is the second house from the forest and bike path, which is dim and quiet at night. The rear of the house has glass patio doors with no curtains. They overlook a decent-sized backyard that meets the alley. On the other side of the alley, there is another house. It is an older house with dark red brick and many small windows. It was around 2 a.m. and I was eating snacks and watching movies on the couch. If you were looking through the patio doors into the backyard, the living room would be on the left and the kitchen would be on the right. The rear of the couch would face the kitchen and small dining area near the patio doors. I laid on the couch watching American Pickers or something like that. The dog was on the floor resting, and the night was as quiet as can be. I had off all the lights except maybe one. I enjoyed these times when watching this dog because it was quiet and peaceful. It was nice to have some time to myself. Laying there, comfortably, eating snacks and watching television, I suddenly hear very loud and urgent bangs on the patio doors. It freaked me out. Obviously, the dog let out a skeptical growl as I reluctantly peered over the back of the couch. What I see is the floodlight illuminating the white hair and wrinkly face of an elderly lady. Hesitant, I got up and walked towards the patio doors as the dog begins to bark. I see the old lady standing there, and she has a look on her face like she is disappointed in me. In a split second, I thought maybe I had the television too loud, or I had done something else to disturb the peace. So I opened the door, and I was very kind. I asked her if everything was okay. She said no, everything is not okay, and continued to look at me in disappointment. So I asked her what was wrong, and she asked very firmly, "Where's my husband?" Dumbfounded, I stumbled through my words and asked, "Why? Is he missing?" She continues, very firmly and insistent on me giving her a clear answer. "Don't play these games with me. I know you know where he is. What did you do with him?" I felt that something was up. I asked her if she was okay and if she had any sort of medication that she took. Insulted, she replied, "Excuse me?" and then pulled an 8.5 by 11 framed photograph of a man out of her purse. She goes on to tell me that the man in the photo is her husband and that he had come to this house for a party and hadn't ever come home. I told her I was watching the house and I didn't know anything about it. She continued her arguments, and I asked if she needed me to take her to the hospital. Insulted again, she told me she was going to call the police, and she walked away into the darkness. So I stand in the kitchen and scratch my head and say, "What the hell?" to myself. Still shaken, I mute the television and peek out the front door, in case she came around. Nothing. From then on, there was nothing but silence. No police. Dead silence. I peek out the patio doors and see lights go on and off in the little windows of the house across the alley. I assume that is where she lived and she's getting ready for bed. I laid down on the couch and browsed Reddit for a bit to clear my head. It wasn't until a day or two later I found out that she had done this before. Her husband did pass away, but she likely suffered from mental illness, Alzheimer's or something else. I was sort of relieved to find out that it was a common occurrence with this neighbor, but have never been more creeped out or puzzled by any other experience. I have stayed at the house since, and it hasn't happened again. Hopefully, she has found the help that she needs. Never let your dog explore the forest alone. A story written by AzRoomy.
It was Sunday early in the morning. I live in the suburbs, but my parents own a farm that I enjoy going to because I get to see my dog. Her name is Molly. She's a mutt, but she's not a tiny dog by any means. At that time, I felt very safe around her and would often take her to walks in the forest that was nearby. The day started out like any other. Me and my dad got in the car, drove around for a while, and arrived at the farm. I immediately got out of the car and hugged Molly. My parents always got angry when I hugged her since I'd smell like her for the rest of the day. I put her on the leash and asked my dad if I could walk. He always thought that we would go down a road and back, but I always found it more interesting to take her into the forest. I always felt a certain kind of peace and relaxation there that was unmatched by anything else. So we took a turn and headed to the forest. Usually when we got there, I'd take her off the leash so she could explore on her own. Most of the time, I'd carve my name into a tree or look for anything interesting. I was playing baseball with some rocks and a wooden leg, presumably from an old table. And when I heard it, Molly was barking at something. This was usual when we got into the forest. I thought it was a fox or some animal, so I quickly grabbed the wooden leg like a weapon. I knew that if it was a fox, I wouldn't attack it, but I had a sense of security while I was holding it. I call out, "Molly, Molly," but she just kept barking. This was very strange for me since she always came back to me when I called her. She just kept barking. This was very strange for me since she always came back to me when I called her. I followed the sound of her barks and stumbled across a scene I'll never forget. There was a man, probably in his late 50s, half naked, carrying a large machete in one hand and holding moonshine in the other. This was the first time that I stumbled across someone in the woods, let alone someone half naked and carrying a big-ass machete. He was completely ignoring Molly and hacking away at the ground for some reason. I didn't know how to handle this situation. Even now, I have no idea how I would handle it. "Sir, are you okay?" I asked in confusion. I don't think I understood the seriousness of the situation at the time. He turned around, revealing his face. He had some of the clearest blue eyes I have ever seen in my lifespan. I could see them so well because they were open wide. "Come here, boy. Look what I've dug up." I was afraid that if I didn't listen to him, he would start chasing after me, and that was something I wanted to avoid at all costs. I got closer, but kept a good distance. I didn't see anything except an empty hole. He returned to hitting the ground with his machete, occasionally taking sips of the bottle. I used this window of time to get my dog and started walking slowly as to not notify him that I was leaving. But then I took a final glance at the man. His head was dug deep in the hole. I was intrigued, so I kept looking. I know how stupid of me. He finally got up from the ground. I was shocked when I saw him carrying a bone in his mouth. I have no idea what animal it belonged to, if it even belonged to an animal. I had seen enough and started sprinting with my dog. As we ran, I heard him laughing, and then I saw him flying from the corner of my eye. It was the damn machete. I heard him yell, "Damn it!" This made me run even faster. I know the forest very well, so I wasn't afraid of getting lost. I ripped through the branches and bushes until I got out of that forest, but I didn't stop sprinting till I arrived at the garage, where my father was testing out the lights on our tractor. I didn't tell him a single thing about the man since I was afraid that he'd get angry and wouldn't allow me to walk Molly anymore. Needless to say, I never went to the forest alone ever again. Man with the machete and the bone in his mouth, let's not meet again.
Homeless and Helpless. A story written by Dan My Boy 132.
I'm 29 now and in a great home with my partner for 6 years. We are very happy, but life wasn't always so great. I went through a tough time at the age of 17. I found myself homeless in the streets of Glasgow. It was cold and I seen another side of life I never want to see again. It all started with me leaving my family home due to disagreements with my mom. I slept rough for a few nights, hidden out in the way under a staircase in the city, ironically across from a 5-star hotel. I eventually heard about a place I could go live. This was a sort of halfway house between being homeless and being rehomed. I quickly moved into this building. You got breakfast in the morning and you were advised to keep yourself busy during the day. I tried going on long walks, etc. Eventually you get stuck into socializing with some people at first. I thought this would be okay, but things quickly went south. I befriended my neighbor in the facility. He used to do drugs and I didn't. I tried to play it cool, but things got scary quickly. He started asking me for money I didn't have. He then persisted in following me everywhere. I went like an unwanted sidekick. I woke up one night to banging on my room door. This place held about 10 people. Small rooms with basic amenities. The pounding got louder. Then the shouting started. The lock in the door was flimsy at best. Bang bang, I know you're in there. I freaked out, frantically texting my mom asking her to come home. She said it would be okay to brave it out. Then the man shouted, "If I see you again, I'm going to slice you from ear to ear." I thought enough, shaking, and called the police and the facility manager. The police came and arrested the man. He was high on something, enraged with deep-set eyes, holding a kitchen devil moment away from bursting the door. He was taken away. I never got the guy's name. I'm great now and have moved on. The worst part of it was when my little sister, still at school at this point, met me at the shops a few days later. I had to fake a smile and let her know I would be okay, even though inside I was crying. Hello, my name is Ghosty Mist. My channel has real horror or paranormal, but I'm really down for any content. You should go check it out.